you know, I mean, who wants to look, you know, simple when you can look stunning?
It was funny to me, but she took it all serious and got in her feelings and got mad.
On the afternoon of September 22nd, 2023, a confrontation erupted at the Jernigan Gardens Apartments in Orlando, Florida. What started as a heated argument among several individuals quickly escalated into a violent brawl involving multiple participants. The situation intensified when 23-year-old Delray Duncan Jr. allegedly produced a firearm in the midst of the crowd. Without warning, gunfire broke out.
That nigga done shot, boy. So people gotta be shot, boy. So people gotta be shot, boy. Boy, some people shot, boy. That's what I'm saying. They got kids out there, bitch. Oh my God. Somebody got shot? Oh, they're a shot, bro.
Have you seen my lady?
Oh my, I ain't got my phone. Oh, they done shot the girl, bro. Oh my God, where they shot her at? Oh my fucking God. Y'all call 911. Call the ambulance. Oh, fuck. What happened? Someone called the ambulance. Somebody? Oh, shit. Tell me the ambulance now. Oh, fucking God. Where they at? They still fucking shooting, bro. Y'all don't go all the way out there.
By the time police arrived at approximately 2:34 p.m., 4 people had been shot. Among them was 22-year-old Macayla Patterson, known professionally as Ruby Kier, a rising figure in Orlando's hairstyling industry and a mother of 2 young children. Patterson was transported to Orlando Regional Medical Center with critical injuries. Despite emergency efforts, she was pronounced dead shortly after arrival. Authorities quickly moved in on Duncan, identifying him as the primary suspect based on eyewitness accounts and physical evidence. He was arrested within hours and charged with first-degree murder and multiple counts of attempted homicide. The shooting drew immediate attention across Orlando. The location, a residential complex with a history of disturbances, became the focus of a homicide investigation. Police collected forensic evidence, interviewed witnesses, and began piecing together the moments leading up to the fatal gunfire. Why did a neighborhood dispute end with multiple people shot and 1 woman dead? As investigators unraveled the case, a disturbing pattern of community violence, personal conflicts, and fatal decisions came to light. The killing of Macayla Ruby Kier Patterson exposed the undercurrent of tension within a neighborhood already marked by conflict and set the stage for a legal battle that would follow. If you're captivated by real crime stories that peel back the layers of truth, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Your support means the world to us as we uncover real cases, raise awareness, and give a voice to the voiceless. Before we dive into today's story, we want to hear from you. Where are you tuning in from? And how do you feel as the story unfolds? Welcome to Deadly Crime Unmasked, the show where we expose the shocking crimes that rip through communities and the chilling secrets lurking behind closed doors. These are real people, real events, real consequences. Don't forget to subscribe and activate notifications. You won't want to miss the gripping story that's coming up. Now, let's dive in.
The shooting started on Mercy Drive, but all of the victims were found in different locations, one of them in a car. Police still trying to piece together how all of them are connected. The calls came in around 2:30 in the afternoon on Friday. Reports of a shooting leading Orlando police to this apartment complex on Mercy Drive. Police say when they got there, they found one person with a gunshot wound. They were transported to the hospital in critical condition. Then, while police were at the complex, they say they were notified of a possible suspect vehicle that fled the scene. This led them on a chase that ended here, Old Winter Garden Road and Duncan Place. This black Chevy was seen with significant damage to the front and what appears to be blood outside of it. Then, separate from both those scenes, a third person was dropped off at the hospital with a gunshot wound. And then another person with a gunshot wound later located at Advent South. Police are asking anyone with information on this shooting to call the department.
Macayla Patterson, known professionally as Ruby Keir, was a 22-year-old resident of Orlando, Florida. She lived and worked in the city up until the time of her death. Ruby Keir was a name under which she established her career in the beauty industry, becoming recognized in Orlando's hairstyling scene. As a licensed cosmetologist, Macayla operated her own business, Kiorsko LLC. This company specialized in hairstyling services with focus on wigs, hair extensions, and other beauty products. Through her business, she provided various hairstyling services to a growing client base. Her work garnered attention both locally and online, positioning her as a rising talent in Orlando's beauty sector. Her professional presence extended to social media, particularly Instagram, where she built a following of over 11,000 people. On her Instagram page, she showcased her hairstyling work, promoted her business, and engaged with clients and followers. This social media activity contributed to her reputation as an emerging stylist in the Orlando area. Beyond her professional pursuits, Macayla Patterson was a mother of two young sons, Messiah, age 5, and Zion, age 4. She balanced her responsibilities as a single mother with her growing career in the beauty industry. Her personal life included strong family connections, and she maintained close ties with members of her local community. In her daily life, Macayla was known for managing the dual roles of business owner and caregiver. Her ability to juggle entrepreneurship and motherhood became a defining aspect of her life. This balance between personal and professional responsibilities shaped her identity within the Orlando community and among her clients. Through her work as a cosmetologist, her presence on social media, and her role as a mother, Macayla Ruby Keir Patterson established herself as a figure of interest in both her local community and the broader beauty industry in Orlando. On September 22nd, 2023, a violent incident occurred at the Jernigan Gardens Apartments, located in Orlando, Florida. The complex, known for its residential housing, had a prior history of disturbances and law enforcement interventions. This environment set the stage for a fatal event that would unfold in the early afternoon hours. At approximately 2:34 p.m., a crowd had gathered within the premises of the Jernigan Gardens Apartments. The nature of this gathering remains a point of investigation, but it included multiple individuals from the local community. Eyewitness accounts indicate that what began as a routine congregation of people escalated quickly. Among the crowd were both men and women, and tensions rose over undisclosed matters. What started as verbal exchanges soon intensified. The argument involved several participants and quickly devolved from a heated discussion into a physical altercation. Reports indicate that shouting matched with aggressive behavior, and within moments, the situation transitioned into a violent brawl. Individuals on both sides engaged physically, and the scene became chaotic as the confrontation expanded beyond a mere dispute. The crowd dynamic shifted, with some attempting to intervene and others fueling the fight. In the midst of this growing unrest, one individual emerged as a central figure in the escalation. Delray Duncan Jr., a 23-year-old male, was present at the scene. As the altercation unfolded, Duncan allegedly produced a firearm. According to official reports, Duncan pulled a weapon during the height of the confrontation. The presence of firearm in an already volatile situation altered the dynamic significantly. Without apparent warning, gunfire erupted amidst the crowd. The discharge of the weapon resulted in multiple shots being fired. The chaos intensified as people scrambled for cover and attempted to escape the immediate vicinity. The shooting resulted in 4 individuals being struck by the bullets. The randomness and suddenness of the shooting contributed to the severity of the incident. Among those shot was Macayla Ruby Kiera Patterson, a 22-year-old woman known in the Orlando area as a hairstylist and entrepreneur. Patterson was present during the confrontation and became one of the victims caught in the line of fire. The gunshot wounds she sustained were critical. Emergency services were contacted immediately following the outbreak of violence. Responding paramedics arrived on the scene and provided urgent medical attention to the injured. Patterson was transported by ambulance to Orlando Regional Medical Center. Despite efforts to stabilize her condition, she was pronounced dead shortly after arrival. The severity of her injuries made medical intervention unsuccessful. Her death marked the only fatality in the incident. 3 other individuals suffered gunshot wounds as a direct result of the shooting. These individuals were also treated by emergency medical personnel. Unlike Patterson, the 3 other victims survived their injuries. They were transported for medical care and were reported to be in stable condition following treatment. The shooting incident at Jernigan Gardens Apartments resulted in a swift response from law enforcement agencies. Officers arrived at the scene to secure the area, gather evidence, and begin an immediate investigation into the circumstances surrounding the shooting. The involvement of multiple victims, including a fatality, escalated the incident to a homicide investigation. At approximately 2:34 p.m., the Orlando Police Department received multiple emergency calls reporting a shooting at Jernigan Gardens Apartments. Officers were dispatched immediately to the scene. Upon arrival, police found a chaotic environment marked by injured individuals, bystanders, and residual tension from the earlier brawl. The officers' first action was to secure the scene to ensure no further violence erupted and to protect evidence integrity. Medical personnel were already on site or arriving simultaneously to provide emergency care to the victims. Macayla Patterson, critically wounded, was among those transported to the Orlando Regional Medical Center. Despite medical efforts, she was pronounced dead shortly after arrival. With the crime scene cordoned off, detectives began their investigation on location. Witnesses were identified and separated for questioning. Statements were taken from those directly involved in the altercation, as well as from nearby residents and passers-by who may have observed the sequence of events. Investigators also documented the scene with photographs, video footage, and forensic collection of evidence, such as bullet casings, firearms, if recovered, and other items potentially linked to the shooting. Any surveillance footage from the apartment complex or nearby locations was sought out to establish a visual record of the incident. Law enforcement's rapid response allowed for critical evidence to be preserved, which would later become significant in the legal handling of the case. During the initial witness interviews, multiple individuals identified a man later confirmed to be 23-year-old Delray Duncan Jr. as a person who allegedly produced a firearm during the confrontation and fired shots into the crowd. This identification was based on eyewitness testimony corroborated by evidence collected at the scene. Law enforcement initiated an immediate search for Duncan. He was located within hours of the incident. The arrest took place without reported incident. Upon arrest, Duncan was taken into custody and transported for processing. Following his apprehension, Duncan was formally charged. The charges filed included 1 count of first-degree murder in connection with the death of Macayla Ruby Kiera Patterson. Additionally, he faced multiple counts of attempted homicide, corresponding to the other individuals injured during the shooting. Investigators also examined the possibility of further charges relating to firearm possession, particularly if Duncan was found to have possessed a weapon illegally under Florida law. The initial charging documents filed by prosecutors formally accused Delray Duncan Jr. of first-degree murder, a capital offense under Florida statutes. The charge reflected the state's assertion that the killing of Macayla Patterson was intentional and premeditated or occurred during the commission of another violent felony. Alongside the murder charge, Duncan faced several counts of attempted homicide, each corresponding to the surviving victims who sustained gunshot wounds during the incident. The legal system categorizes these charges based on the severity of harm caused and the intent presumed behind the actions. Additional charges potentially related to the illegal possession of a firearm were also under review. If evidence supported that Duncan unlawfully carried or discharged a firearm, such offenses would be appended to primary charges, further complicating his legal standing and increasing potential penalties. Shortly after his arrest, Duncan made his initial court appearance. During this hearing, the formal charges were read aloud in the presence of the judge, prosecution, defense counsel, and court observers. Duncan was given the opportunity to enter a plea. Whether he entered a plea of guilty, not guilty, or no contest remained subject to the official court records at that time. Under Florida law, suspects charged with first-degree murder are typically held without bond, meaning Duncan will remain in custody pending trial unless a court later decided otherwise in a formal bond hearing. The nature of the charges and the perceived risk to public safety commonly influence bond decisions in such cases. As the case progressed into the pretrial phase, potential defense strategies were analyzed based on standard legal practices in similar cases. One possible approach for Duncan's defense team could involve claiming self-defense or provocation, arguing that the shooting occurred as a reaction to a perceived threat during the brawl. This line of defense would require credible evidence suggesting that Duncan's actions were in direct response to imminent danger. Another factor under scrutiny was Duncan's prior criminal history, if any existed. Previous convictions or documented violent behavior could influence both the defense's approach and the prosecution's argument for a harsher sentencing or denial of bond. Conversely, a clean criminal record might be leveraged by the defense in mitigating charges or sentencing considerations. A significant element of the prosecution's case would rest on forensic evidence. Investigators collected physical evidence, such as bullet casings and any weapons recovered, for forensic analysis. Ballistic testing aimed to match the recovered firearm, if located, to the projectiles and casings found at the crime scene. Fingerprint analysis, DNA evidence, and gunshot residue tests could further tie Duncan to the weapon used and the shooting incident. The strength of this forensic evidence, combined with eyewitness testimony and possible surveillance footage, would play a critical role in shaping the legal arguments on both sides. The defense team would likely seek to challenge the credibility of witnesses, the chain of custody of evidence, and the interpretation of forensic findings. The investigation began with the immediate processing of the crime scene by forensic experts. Multiple shell casings were recovered from the location where the shooting occurred. Ballistics analysis was performed on these casings to determine the weapon type and potential matches with known firearms. The ballistics report concluded that the shell casings were discharged from a single firearm. This finding was critical in narrowing down the weapon responsible for shooting. The suspected firearm was later recovered during the arrest of 23-year-old Delray Duncan Jr. Forensic testing confirmed that the firearm in Duncan's possession was a ballistic match to the casings recovered from the crime scene. The confirmation established a direct connection between Duncan and the weapon used in the shooting incident. An autopsy was conducted on Macayla Patterson at the Orange County Medical Examiner's office. The autopsy report confirmed that Patterson sustained fatal gunshot wounds, specifically identifying entry and exit points, caliber of the bullet, and the trajectory of the shots. The medical examination detailed that Patterson's cause of death was directly attributable to gunshot trauma inflicted during the shooting incident at Jernigan Gardens. The report also ruled out any other contributing factors, affirming that the injuries sustained were not survivable under the circumstances. The forensic connection between Duncan, the firearm, and the ballistic evidence provided the prosecution with physical proof linking the suspect to the fatal shooting. The recovered weapon served as a key exhibit in the case, reinforcing witness statements and supporting the charges brought against Duncan. In the aftermath of the shooting, investigators conducted multiple interviews with individuals present at the scene. Witness statements became a significant component of the investigation. Several eyewitnesses directly identified Duncan as the individual who produced a firearm during the altercation. These witnesses provided consistent accounts of Duncan's actions, stating that he drew the weapon in the midst of a group fight and fired multiple rounds into the crowd. One eyewitness reported observing Duncan arguing with a group of individuals before the altercation escalated. According to this account, Duncan retrieved the firearm from his waistband and began firing indiscriminately. Another witness confirmed seeing Patterson struck by gunfire as she attempted to disengage from the confrontation. However, not all testimonies were consistent. Some witnesses offered contradictory statements regarding the origin of the gunfire, with a few suggesting that multiple firearms may have been involved. These conflicting accounts prompted investigators to conduct a thorough analysis of all testimonies. Forensic evidence ultimately clarified that only a single weapon discharged the recovered shell casings, thereby discounting claims of additional shooters. Investigators also reviewed available surveillance footage from security cameras within the apartment complex. Although some footage captured portions of the altercation, none provided a clear, unobstructed view of the exact moment the shots were fired. The lack of definitive video evidence placed increased emphasis on forensic findings and credible eyewitness testimony. The partial footage, however, did corroborate the presence of Duncan at the scene prior to the shooting, supporting the timeline established by investigators. The fatal shooting of Macayla Ruby Keir Patterson sent shockwaves through the local community in Orlando. Vigils were organized at the Jernigan Gardens Apartments, where the shooting took place, and at several salons where Patterson had previously worked. These gatherings drew significant attendance from community members, clients, friends, and supporters. The vigils served as a platform for the community to express solidarity, reflect on the incident, and call for justice. Social media amplified the impact of Patterson's death. News of the incident spread quickly across various platforms, with local residents sharing tributes, photos, and videos of Patterson. Hashtags bearing her name circulated widely within the Orlando area and beyond, drawing attention to the circumstances of her death and the ongoing investigation. The rapid dissemination of information on social media also fueled discussions about community violence and the dangers posed by armed altercations in residential neighborhoods. Community leaders and activists used the heightened attention to address broader concerns regarding gun violence in Orlando. Public statements were made calling for increased community support systems, conflict resolution initiatives, and preventive measures to avoid similar tragedies in the future. Within the hairstyling industry, the reaction to Patterson's death was immediate and profound. As a licensed cosmetologist and business owner, Patterson had established a network of clients and fellow stylists who regarded her as a rising figure in Orlando's beauty industry. Colleagues expressed shock at the sudden and violent nature of Patterson's death. Many stylists and business owners in the local beauty community publicly acknowledged Patterson's professional contributions and the ambition she demonstrated in building her brand. Salons where she had previously worked held moments of silence in her memory, and some organized community events in her honor. Clients who had known Patterson through her hairstyling services took to social media to share their experiences and interactions with her. The consistent theme among posts was a reflection on her professionalism, business acumen, and dedication to her craft. Several clients noted that they had upcoming appointments scheduled with Patterson prior to her death, underscoring the abruptness with which her career and life were cut short. Industry peers also highlighted the incident as a wake-up call regarding personal safety within the beauty community. Conversations emerged around the risks faced by professionals working in community spaces and the importance of fostering safe environments for business operations. The collective response from the local hairstyling community, combined with the broader social media reaction, underscored the extent of the impact Patterson's death had on both personal and professional levels within Orlando. Following the death of Macayla Ruby Keir Patterson, the immediate concern for her family centered on the care and custody of her two young sons, Messiah and Zion. With Patterson deceased, legal guardianship of the children fell to close family members. Reports confirmed that relatives of Patterson quickly assumed responsibility for the boys, stepping in to provide both physical care and emotional support. The transition into family custody was handled within the private sphere of Patterson's relatives, and there were no public records indicating custody disputes or legal challenges over the care of the children. In response to the tragic loss, community members in Orlando mobilized efforts to support Patterson's children. Several fundraisers were initiated, including donation drives and online crowdfunding campaigns. These efforts aim to provide financial assistance for the children's upbringing, education, and basic needs. The fundraisers were promoted through social media platforms where Patterson had established a significant following as a hairstylist and entrepreneur. Contributions came not only from friends and local residents, but also from clients, professional associates, and supporters who had followed Patterson's work. The fundraising efforts highlighted the practical impact of Patterson's death on her family, especially her children, who were now left without their mother's care and financial support. In the days following the incident, members of Patterson's family released formal public statements. These statements consistently expressed deep grief over the sudden and violent nature of her death. Family members described Patterson's death as a senseless act and emphasized their hope for justice through the ongoing legal process against the accused. Delray Duncan Jr.'s statements also called for community support and unity in light of the tragedy. They did not engage in speculation about the circumstances of the crime or the motives of the suspect. Instead, the family's focus remained on preserving Patterson's memory and ensuring that her children's futures were secured. In contrast, there were no known public statements issued by members of Delray Duncan Jr.'s family. Throughout the early stages of the investigation and legal proceedings, Duncan's relatives maintained silence regarding his arrest and the charges against him. No statements of defense, remorse, or clarification were released to the public by Duncan's family members. Their absence from public commentary stood in direct contrast to the visible and vocal responses from Patterson's family and the broader community. The aftermath of Patterson's death revealed a family determined to protect her legacy and provide for the children she left behind. While Patterson's family took active steps to engage the public and secure support, Duncan's family chose not to make any statements or participate in public discussions surrounding the case. If the story gripped your heart and left you questioning the truth, don't forget to hit that like button and share it with others who need to hear it. For more chilling true crime stories that dive deep into the mysteries behind these tragedies, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell. You won't want to miss our latest updates, investigations, and thought-provoking discussions. Thank you for being part of this journey with us as we uncover the truth and seek justice. Together, we can make a difference. Stay safe, stay aware, and we'll see you in the next one.